Okay, hi everyone. I'm Shivani. Most of you know me, so I'm not going to go too much into my introduction. Um, some of the things I wanted to cover before we get started is as I'm going through this, if you have any questions, feel free to put it in the chat or stop me and I can answer as well. Um, I'm sure Isaac or someone from our team would keep looking at the chat and they would answer your questions if you put it in there as well. So, whatever is comfortable, we'll do that. Quick introductions. I'm Shivani. I'm the Collide Launch Manager. So if you are deciding to apply to Collide Launch, you'll probably see me through the program. We will have Mike Theru on the call as well. They are the Associate Director for Lab to Market Dal Innovates. So if you have any questions related to Lab to Market, I'm sure Mike can answer them. We also have Hunter King, who is an alumni from our program, and we will get to know about the exciting work that they do when we reach the alumni section. So about DAL Innovates, we provide opportunities for students and faculties who are interested in innovation. Most of you have gone through our earlier stage programming, so I'm not going to focus too much on what DAL Innovates does. So we have three stages of programming. We have discover, validate, and launch. So discover is for early stage companies that don't maybe have an idea, don't have an idea. They're just curious about entrepreneurship and the basics of it. So that's the stage you would be at. We have validate after that, which most of you are going through right now, which is you have an idea, but you don't know if it's good enough. So you are actually going to go out in the market and try to validate them at this point through customer discovery interviews. And then we have the final stage, which is launch, where you're getting ready to launch your business at this point, and you have already validated your idea. We've had multiple people go through our programming who are doing great stuff. We actually just had someone go through Dragon's Den as well, which was very exciting for us. So this is about launch. It's a 4-month summer accelerator. This is for people who already have ideas and they are committed to now choosing entrepreneurship as their path. So this is modeled after MIT's Delta V Summer Accelerator. And what that means is they have a process of accountability that they have set. So we are following the same program and we are going to help you develop your help you develop your idea based on this process of accountability. So what it is it's a 12-week virtual accelerator that goes from ideation to business readiness stage. We will help you develop skills, mindset, and resilience and founders through this program. We would also connect you to a network of experts. There would be personalized coaching and mentoring, similar to Validate. And there is a $10,000 stipend to support venture development. And there's a pitch day prize pool of 18,000. And I'll go into the breakdown of the pitch day prize pool later on. So we have two different cohorts that's running this summer. So there is Lab to Market launch and we have Collide launch. Lab to Market is for research-based tech-enabled ventures. Collide launch is for any other type of venture that you want to do. This time around, this particular cohort is for Atlantic Canada. So anyone within Atlantic Canada associated with university can apply. And there are 20 spaces for teams to participate this time around. So there's 10 for Lab to Market launch and 10 for Collide launch. Even though we have 20 spaces, it does not mean we would take all of them. We only want good teams in our program this year. So if let's say we only have 7 good teams, we would take in 7 instead of the entire 10. So this is how the program timeline looks like. Applications are already open, which most of you, I'm guessing, know already. Applications would close on March 2nd. Once that happens, we would do an internal review and then there would be an interview and you would get your final acceptance. Once that happens, you would be asked to submit a MyTax application, and I'll go into it in the next couple of slides as well. So you'd be asked to do a MyTax application, and once that is confirmed is when you can say that your acceptance into this program is confirmed. So that will be around mid-April. We would have pre-training and program orientation on May 14th and 15th. All these different sessions that I'm mentioning are mandatory. Okay, so it's May 14th and 15th, and then we have kickoff day on May 23rd, which is in person here in Halifax, which you'll have to come to if you're from outside Halifax. And then we have weekly workshops, skill clinics, and peer presentations. All this is going to be online. And this is from June 4th to August 31st. You would have one workshop that you're attending every week, but there might be other stuff that you're also required to do during the week. And we would have a pitch day on September 24th, which is also going to be in person here in Halifax, which you would be required to come to if you are selected. So these are the different things that we have in launch. So the main thing is the skills clinic sessions, which is going to be weekly 2 hour workshops that I just mentioned. Other than that, similar to Validate, you also have one-on-one office hours with your EIRs and with the skills clinic facilitators. So this would be where you would get personalized coaching on the type of venture that you're doing. This is again going to be weekly that you're doing, and it's mandatory for you to be doing these like weekly office hours as well. We have founder council meetings, which is, I think, my favorite part about launch. So what we would do is we would try to get people or experts in the particular field that you're working in. We would try to get 3 or 4 of them, and they would act as your simulated board, and they would do these board meetings with you every month. You would be meeting with them and setting your milestones for the next month and come back, and you would report to them on what you've done for that month. So that's how that would work. We also have peer presentations and scrums, where similar to Validate, where you're presenting during your scrums, you would also be discussing with your peers and showing your progress and challenges with them. We also have socials and mixers, which is going to be the kickoff day and the pitch day that I spoke about earlier. Okay, so skills clinic session is, as I said, 2 hour, 1.5 to 2 hour weekly sessions. It's going to focus on business essentials that you need to know to help you launch your venture. You will learn how to chart a path forward, communicate your offerings, and measure your progress. The role of founder council is they would meet with you once a month for an hour. They would guide you to think about the bigger picture, and they would help you establish key milestones and what your upcoming objectives should be. This is a great way for you to get in front of seasoned professionals and learn from their experiences, basically. So this is for the role of your EIR. Every team would have an EIR that you're assigned to. They would be guiding you and supporting you as you go through your company building decisions. They will be coaching you with the weekly one-on-one meetings, and they will be observing your peer presentations and Scrum. The EIRs that we usually select into our program, they're seasoned entrepreneurs who have experience giving advice and mentorship to different startup teams. So this is how the funding works. So you would get a $10,000 stipend as milestone payment. So this would be split into 3 or 4 different payments through the program that you would be getting each month. This is made and possible through the MyTax Business Strategy Internship Program, which is why I said that once you are done with your interviews and you get accepted into the program, you will be submitting a MyTax Business Strategy Internship application, and you need to get selected by them to be able to participate in this program. There is a pitch day prize pool of $18,000, and this is how it's split. So for Lab to Market launch, the first place gets 4,000, second place gets 3,000, and the third, and there's a People's Choice Award that gets 2,000, and it's similar for Collide launch. Okay, eligibility criteria. So you must have a co-founder. I think most of the Validate people, I've repeated this multiple times, so you would know this by now. You must have a co-founder. They are welcome to attend the sessions with the lead applicant, but they are not, it's not mandatory for them to be doing so. Who can apply is you need to be a current student or a recent graduate within the last 2 years, or you can be a researcher or a postdoctoral fellow. You must be affiliated with the Atlantic Canadian Academic Institution. Each team must have a faculty supervisor to support their application. The faculty member must hold tri-council funding so that they're able to give you, they're able to facilitate the funds to you. They are not required to attend any of the sessions unless they are either the lead applicant or one of the applicants and they're interested in applying, interested to come into the sessions. Time commitment is you're looking at least 25, I would say 25 to 30 hours a week. You're basically working full time on this summer if you get selected. There would be an extra 3 to 5 hours of program sessions that I spoke about that you would have to do. And it is mandatory participation in all the different stuff that we spoke about earlier. So entrepreneurial readiness, you should already have some understanding of, let's say, lean startup business model canvas, what customer discovery is. So you would have an idea of this at this point. You must have at least done 50 customer discovery interviews if you are participating in lab to market launch, and you must have at least 30 customer discovery interviews if you're applying to Collide launch. And each venture can only participate in the launch programming once for a specific idea. I think I should stop for questions at this point. Does anyone have any questions? Like a
I just had a question.
Yeah, Ben.
Do you have like any suggestions or like contacts for faculty advisors for that, for the funding?
So this would have to be within your academic institution. Ben, if I'm correct, you're from UPI, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, I think I would talk to Amy or Jeremy and see if they can, like, definitely talk to your faculty members first if anyone is willing to support you with your
yeah.
idea. If not, I'm sure Amy or Jeremy might also have contacts that's able to support you.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Does anyone else have any questions? Rob says, if you're already MyTax interns that are receiving funding, is there any conflict for receiving funding for this? Mike, that's a you question.
Sure. Yeah, so there's no conflict, but with MyTax, they won't let you hold two different funding sources at the same time. So what they've done in the past, if you already have MyTax funding, is they'll just push one MyTax funding out. So you'll kind of get your MyTax pushed ahead 4 months, and you'll just get an extra 4 months of kind of funding added on to what you currently have.
Awesome. Does anyone else have any questions? Okay, if not, I'm going to go ahead. As I said, feel free to put your questions in chat so they can, I'm sure Mike or Isaac can answer them. So application process, as you know, the deadline is March 2nd. There will be a review process after that. Every application will go through 3 or 4 different reviewers, and this would happen throughout March. Shortlisted candidates will be invited for a 30-minute interview after that. We will make a decision by the end of March, and we will invite you to complete the MyTax BSI application after that. And MyTax BSI application, I think we would have the confirmation of that by the end of April. So during the application, when you put in your application, this is what we are going to be evaluating you on. So you want to keep this in mind. We will be checking if the team has worked together, if they have demonstrated openness and coachability. Is there a commitment to continuing with the venture after graduation from this program? We would, in the problem section, we would think about, is the team passionate about the importance of solving this problem? Is there an understanding of who the customer is and why this problem is relevant to them? Is there a market potential for this? And a solution, we would be looking at how effectively does the solution address the identified problem? How innovative is the solution proposed? Does the team demonstrate understanding of their unique value proposition? And additionally, we would also be looking at if there's anything that makes the team stand out. Maybe they have a commitment to diversity and inclusion, or they have some past funding, or they've been through any of the past programs. So all of this would get additional consideration as well. So make sure you're mentioning and covering all these bases when you're putting in your applications. Okay, we breezed through this. Awesome. As I said, we have Hunter with us, and I think let me stop sharing so we can actually see Hunter. Like I can actually see Hunter then. So Hunter King went through our program in 2023. He did launch, and he is the co-founder of Integrative Nanotech, which is developing the next generation of sensing by leveraging novel, scalable nanomaterials. I think, Hunter, do you want to explain what that means?
Sure, yeah. A little convoluted in the sentence there, but long story short, basically during my PhD work and some postdoc research work, we had developed some very scalable processes for nanomaterials production that has some real great technical benefits to gas sensing applications. Is kind of the Coles nodes. And from there, especially during the lab to market launch program, we kind of did a deeper dive on our value proposition from a technical perspective. Who cares about that? And in the end, we kind of landed, especially on the beachhead market, being with hydrogen sensing with a focus on leak detection using this technology.
Okay, so you did lab to market launch with us. Did you also do validate with us? I'm curious.
No, so I did the launch program and then we kind of launched from there, if you will. Very quickly from that, we've gone through like the Invest Nova Scotia Accelerate program. But as far as accelerators are concerned, we kind of just hit the ball rolling from there and then started to focus more on the product development and business development.
Perfect. So what stage would you say your venture was when you decided to apply to launch?
Oh, great question. Kind of a mixed stage from a tech perspective. We were pretty young, TRL maybe like 2 to 3. You could argue 4, maybe speaking there. And from a business development front was, we had done customer interviews. Certainly, we had identified that there was a problem that we wanted to address, and we felt that our technological solution could address. But otherwise, we weren't really too certain as far as, how do our customers look? What specific subsection of the market are we looking to go after? Really trying to quantify the value proposition and ensure we really had a viable business model moving forward. So as far as the overall business development is concerned, I would say, we were quite early stage, pre-seed funding level, certainly. Just the first indication that there was a market problem that we felt that we could really address.
Okay, so why did you apply to launch? Like what?
Yeah, it's a great question. For me, it was a great opportunity for what I consider to be a business development boot camp, right? I think a lot of people here, especially, I'll speak to the, lab to market programming a little bit more than necessarily it's separated since I had gone through. And so my experience certainly is coming from a very technical background and then trying to learn the business development skills from there. And so this was honestly one of the better opportunities through the kind of incubator accelerator ecosystem that we have here to build that skill set through kind of a 3-month forced boot camp, which is great. I don't want to make it sound like it's a bad thing when you say forced boot camp, but a lot of people will be kind of working in parallel, maybe doing part-time on their venture, or just kind of in that early stage of, hey, I think I've got something here, but I'm not really ready to kind of dive head first into it yet and invest that time and energy into it. So this is a great opportunity to kind of make you focus on that for this period, and go through the motions, make sure you're not missing anything, and ensure that you're building out that skill set to balance out the presumed technical knowledge and, to be honest with you, potentially technical bias inherent with a lot of researchers going into entrepreneurship.
Now that makes sense. I love forced boot camp. I think we should
Yeah.
include that on our website somewhere.
Forced, maybe not the best, but certainly a business development boot camp would be how I would market, lab to market launch.
Yeah, definitely. Was there anything specific, like specific resources or moments from launch that really helped you shape the direction that you took?
Yeah, there's a couple moments. Certain things are, we'll call it just reinforcement. Of course, it benefits anyone who wants to get into entrepreneurship to, expose themselves more to these kind of like little pitch events and things like that, to get them in front of people and make sure that they're, reasonable public speakers and able to kind of market what they're trying to do and articulate that well. But more so during the program, I think there were 2 kind of key benefits that I took away. The peer sessions are lovely, they're very supportive. But for me personally, I love blunt feedback. I love people who will give it to me straight and not just tell me that everything is lovely. And I've got friends and family who are there to support me and tell me that it's a wonderful idea, everything's great, you're going to be a superstar. But the founders council meetings were just incredible from that regard, to really have some proper critical constructive feedback. And I don't mean that in a negative way whatsoever. I really mean, getting down to some of the core questions that you're going to have to be able to answer as a venture to be successful, right? A lot of cases here, again, majoritively speaking, coming from a technical background, you're very, very deep and expert in your specific field, but sometimes you lose sight of the forest for the trees, right? You get so excited about your product that you kind of maybe push away some of these critical questions that need to be answered as far as product market fit, ensuring that the customers that you see envisioning in the market there are truly there and someone's willing to pay for this product or solution you're developing, right?
Definitely, yeah. Founder council meetings are fun. Like
Yeah.
being on the
Oh, I
other
love
side
them.
for me is way more fun because I can see how the startup founders are doing. Any advice do you have for anyone who's thinking about applying but they're feeling unsure?
I mean, I'd say apply regardless, right? Like it's, to be very blunt, it's not a ton of effort to go through the application process for it. And I think anyone who is even somewhat serious about exploring the space further, right? Certainly you have to have done some amount of groundwork on your side to get in. But, I feel like independent of what stage you are at in that kind of customer discovery, problem identification journey, the launch program is very valuable for that because it really walks through kind of the steps. And correct me if I'm wrong, but at least the program when I gone through was still very tightly tied to the MIT's discipline entrepreneurship program there, and really going through a formulated framework to go from really starting with either technology or kind of a problem statement and kind of going deeper and deeper into it, just as you would in kind of a research and development field, but more so on that market itself. So I really think even if you're on stage 6 of 13, or if you're on stage 1 of 13 or 12 of 13, there's a lot of value in going through that process, being guided where needed through it, but making sure that the assumptions that you've made to date and otherwise are reasonable, and those questions again can be answered, right?
Yeah, definitely. So yes, this time around as well, they will be going through the 24 steps in the discipline entrepreneurship book that's from MIT that's laid out. So it's the same similar stuff that we would be covering this launch cohort as well.
Oh, great.
Yeah, and I think when I started out with my venture, which clearly did not kick off and do well, at least the first one, I feel like it would have if I had this hand holding and if someone had guided me through what the different steps should be, instead of just being like, I can think about 1,000 things, but then I maybe only need to think about these 5 things that's important right now.
Yeah, the focus is definitely key here, and I think also being realistic about things, right? It doesn't help for it's wonderful to believe that you'll be the 1%, right? Or I guess it's, maybe 10% of ventures at most really survive, especially that 10-year period. And we're still very early for this, to be quite frank, right? We're, 2.5 years into our venture here, if you will. Certainly we've had a lot of success, and I don't want to underplay that, but there's still a lot of risks involved. And statistically speaking, it's nice going into that with the understanding of, listen, some of this is in your control and some of this is completely out of your control, and you want to stack the deck as much as you can with the skills that you can build out here to make it lean in your favor. But ultimately you also need to go in with the understanding that sometimes things change that are out of your control, and whether or not you had the best venture idea, the best market potential, and maybe a competitor comes into the space at a critical time, maybe the market shifts, right? So coming in with the right mindset, I think, is also very valuable, just to make sure that you really have that long term. What's the word? We had someone come in. I'm trying to remember. Um, it's not toughness. It's
Resilience.
resilience. Yeah. Sorry, apologies for the words there, but no, resilience is really the key part, right? It's like fishing for a long time, waiting for a big bite. You're gonna have a big bite eventually, but you got to make sure that you can sit through the tough times to get there.
Yeah. So this is my last question for you, Hunter. If you could go back and give yourself a piece of advice before starting launch, what would that be?
Oh God.
Clear out 30 hours of your week for this program would be one.
Oh yeah. But the thing to me is it's not just about clearing up the time for the program. And certainly, to be very honest with you, not everything is going to exactly align with what you might feel is the most value to your company in a given week. I'd say the majority of it does, and it's always worth going through the motions in the end for the value for it. But if you're even somewhat serious about turning your venture into something real, something tangible, then you're going to be spending that time anyways. I mean, in that period, not to, glorify overwork or anything like that, but I was spending during that period somewhere between 80 and 100 hours a week anyways on the venture. I'm just kind of setting aside 25, 30 hours a week for that. But to focus on something that's of long-term benefit to us was incredibly valuable. And most times it's what you should be working on anyways, at least at this stage in a venture. Most weeks, the majority of the focus is incredibly valuable anyways.
Perfect. Thank you. That was perfect.
Yeah,
Thanks.
of course, no problem.
Yeah. Hopefully we'll see the other people on this call come back for one of our future info sessions and be there.
Yeah, I'd love to.
Yeah.
Hopefully do.
Does anyone else have any questions for us, Hunter? It's a quiet room today.
It's a morning. It's cold out. I'm just trying to wake up myself with a coffee, so don't blame him.
No problem. I think if we don't have any questions, Isaac, we can end the info session early.
Sounds perfect.
Perfect. Thanks, Hunter, for coming.
Of course.